You are listening to One Happy Podcast, episode 76.
Like, in Aruba, they don't say I was buzzed or I was drunk. They say I'm happy. And the happier you get on vacation is all you.
Bon dia and welcome to One Happy Podcast, the officially unofficial podcast of the island of Aruba. As always, I'm your host, Curtis Robinson, aka Aruba Kurt, and I want to thank you guys so much for choosing to download and listen to today's episode of the show. Now, you guys could be spending the next hour doing anything that you wanted, but you chose to spend it with me, and that means something, so I really do want to thank you guys. Now, I have an absolutely incredible show planned for you all, as today I'm being joined by Regina Crusan, a fellow Pittsburgher who also loves Aruba. Now, Regina first discovered Aruba a while ago, but what makes this really interesting is that, unlike most of us, she didn't immediately return to the island. In fact, there was a pretty big gap between her first visit and her next visit. But after that second visit, she was hooked, and she's been traveling down there ever since. Now, Regina has stayed at Palm Beach, but typically she stays at the Renaissance. But it's cool to be able to talk to someone that has experience staying in both areas. And over the course of this nearly hour-long interview, Regina fills me in on what it's like to stay at the Renaissance, as well as what it was like staying at the Occidental, which is down to Barcelo. So we talk about those two properties, several restaurants, and also activities and excursions that you can take around the island. I had so much fun doing this interview, and hopefully you guys can tell, but I don't want to give too much away, so let's just jump into my interview with Regina Crusan.
Hi Kurt, how are you doing?
Pretty good, considering how cold it is outside, but we're going to talk about Aruba, so hopefully that warms me up a little bit.
I know, how about that? I was just there, the 9th through the 16th, last month in January.
We're going to talk a little bit about that trip. But before we get into that, I want to first ask you, how did you first discover Aruba?
Well, I had always had Aruba on a bucket list, like a travel bucket list. And when I would turn 40, I said to my best friend, who I've known since I was 8 years old, her name is Dina, I said, would you be interested in going to Aruba? So we went to Aruba. We had the best time. We loved it. But we didn't end up going back, for a while.
Okay.
So, we had done other different traveling to different places. Like I said, we've been friends since we were like 8 years old. And so when our 50th came up, I said, well, where should we go? We were trying to plan a trip. And she goes, well, why don't we go back to Aruba? And I'm like, fine. I was like, okay. So we ended up going back, and that was it'll be in September. It'll be 4 years that we went back. And I actually, when we were there 4 years ago, I actually met who is now my current boyfriend.
Okay, nice.
And so I've been going back ever since, but I really met a lot of people, kind of going back a little bit more frequently. I've met a lot of really good friends now, and so get to see them when we're there and, or when I'm there. And so it's really nice, and it's fun.
Okay, cool. About how many times have you been there over the last 4 years?
I think this last time was 7.
7? Nice.
Oh, no, it was 6. It was the 6 in the 4 years, but the first time would have made it 7.
And let's go back to that first time for a minute, because I'm curious, because you weren't hooked right away. So what was your first impression of Aruba?
I just thought, it was like everything that I wanted it to be. It was just beautiful. I personally, like, when I go on vacation, I want to relax. So, to get a float and just, like, float like you're in a pool in the Caribbean when you see, like, little fish, and it just was amazing to me. The sun, you could walk on the sand. Because of the breeze, you could walk on the sand. Just amazing to me.
Right.
So I guess, and then just the beauty of it and how different it was as the dichotomy of the land itself, the fact that there's like arid parts of, the island, and then there's the tropical parts of the island. And it's just like, it's all in one little island. It's just amazing that all that is in one little place.
Normally you think about a Caribbean island and you think about like the lush tropics. You don't think of it as an actual desert island. But then Aruba has that other part too. So that's, like you mentioned, what makes it so amazing.
Yeah.
So, you went that first time and you didn't go back until 4 years ago.
Yep.
So what was it specifically that happened 4 years ago that made you fall in love with the island to the point where you return as often as you do now?
Well, again, I told you I met my boyfriend, and he lives there.
Oh, you met him on that first trip back?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
When I was 50, I met him there. So.
Oh, that's an interesting story.
Yeah, but it's just it was a little bit different from when I went there originally. So, we're talking 14 years ago. It was a lot different than it was 4 years ago.
Right, definitely.
I mean, not the island itself, but, a lot of the amenities and the restaurants and that part of the island is significantly built up and totally different.
Right.
I remember, like, when we went back 14 years ago, that mall, none of those the malls or those restaurants or anything were down there. None of them. The Marriott was not there. They weren't there. They didn't exist at that time. It was interesting.
Now, a lot of people don't necessarily think that that's a good thing. So where do you sit on how fast Aruba is being built up?
I like a lot, like the restaurant piece. I like that, some of it's built up. I do think that they would need to put in place, and I hope that they have, and I think that they have, and I think that they will, put in place some limitations to preserve things.
Right.
To preserve a lot of, the culture and a lot of the areas, you don't want to infringe too much on the beach. You know what I mean? You want to at least have certain parts of it that are, going to be, for camping and a little bit, they're not commercialized. And I think that I would imagine that, Aruba, I think, would be putting those precautions and, restrictions and things in place.
Yeah, I think they do. I just don't know how closely they're actually policed.
I would hope. I don't know, but I would hope.
Yeah, you and me both. Where do you stay when you're down there?
I've stayed at a couple different places. I actually have stayed, let's see, how many times? 3. The original time that I stayed 3 times at what was the Occidental, and it's changed its name now. I haven't been since they changed the name.
Right.
So the original time that we went, and then when we went back, and then we actually had a girls' trip, and that was September will be 2 years ago. Okay. So we stayed at the Occidental at that time. And then I've stayed the last other couple times. I've stayed 3 additional times at the Renaissance in downtown Oranjestad. Nice.
Yeah, I have some friends that are really big Renaissance fans, so it's always nice to hear about that resort. Now, it's probably not one of the more popular ones just because it's not on the Palm Beach Strip. So can you do me a favor and just give people like an overview of what the Renaissance is like?
Well, I always stay, we always stay at the adult side. So it has an infinity pool. Happy hour is fabulous. The infinity pool is just amazingly gorgeous. It especially at night, because you look right across and it's right where the cruise ships come in. You can see the cruise ships, but you also can see the ocean. And it's like almost like a straight shot, like you look out and you're looking at the ocean. And then the trees that reflect onto the infinity pool. I mean, it's just beautiful. Okay, so that's number 1. And they have a really great happy hour, number 2.
That's always important.
then you also have the private island, which is it's gorgeous. Like you go on a little boat, which is so nice. You know, like you don't think about that, but you go on a little boat over to the private island, and there's actually two sides. There's an adult side, and the adult side is where the flamingos are.
Right.
So that's always a fun thing to, you know, get your pictures taken with the flamingos, and they come over and they want to visit with you and they want to eat and stuff, but it's pretty fun. And then on the other side is it's supposed to be the family side, but I typically like the other side to be on like the family side. And that's where you can have lunch and things like that on that particular side. So the private island is very nice. Very much enjoy that. I also like to be in downtown Oranjestad, which is very nice. There are, within walking distance of the Renaissance, there are probably, I can't even tell you how many restaurants. And then just to walk to them. Amazing, you know, restaurants, venues, all kind of things to look at, see. The shopping right there. I mean, like the Renaissance is there's that mall. There's the whole Renaissance mall right there. So, I mean, if you're a shopper, I sometimes am. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess that's the part that I like about that.
That's cool. Yeah. No, that mall's really nice. That was one of the first places I saw when I went to Aruba, because I went via cruise the first time. So, I mean, obviously we were right in the downtown area.
Right.
And no, I was surprised on a Caribbean island to have a mall that nice.
Yeah, it is very nice. I mean, they have all the designers in there and things like that. I mean, a lot of times I would imagine, I'm not a big cruise person, so I'm just not. Right. But I would imagine, like, you know, they're going to be catering to tourists, and so a lot of the shops would be more like tourist shops. But these are actually, I mean, they're nice shops. I mean, these are like designer,
upscale department stores.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So.
Yes, I was very impressed by that. And I actually did have the opportunity to stay one night at the Renaissance, so I got to experience the private island. It is absolutely beautiful. Where else can you hang out with flamingos?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the little boat ride over there is really cool, too, especially when a plane flies over just as you're going past it.
It's almost like you're racing the plane.
Right. That's pretty cool. And the boat drivers are also nice.
Oh, yeah, they're a little crazy too. Some of them.
Yep. Yeah, they make it fun.
Oh, they do. Yes, they do.
So you really like the staff there at the Renaissance?
Yeah, I mean, they've all been very nice. I'll be honest. I mean, I met a lot of people at the Occidental. You know, I found that you know, and that's where a good many. I have three people that I'm friends with there that worked at the Occidental.
Actually, can you tell me about the Occidental? Because I don't think I've had a guest yet who mentioned that as a place where they stayed.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I always loved it. I mean, I thought it was very friendly. I loved like the pool bar. I mean, you walk over, you can get you know, a free raft. You go on the raft and you're just floating. I mean, honestly, like that's one of my favorite things. Because, like I said, we're on vacation, but you know, just to walk right out there. You know, I mean, it is an all inclusive. So there are good and bad to that. You know, like everything's right there for you. I thought it was really, especially the first time that I went, it was really, I think, a better opportunity is to have the all-inclusive because it wasn't as built up. You know, we did go into the downtown area at that time, but, like, you know, the mall now and the restaurants and things, it's a lot different than before. So now I'm not, like, so enamored of all-inclusive. I would say the only time I would consider all-inclusive is you're like you'd like to drink day and night all the time. You know, I mean, if you're all about like, and a lot of people are, and there's nothing wrong with that. When you're on vacation, you know, hey, like be happy all the time.
Right, do what you want to do.
They don't say I was buzzed or I was drunk. They say I'm happy. And the happier you get on vacation is all you, you know.
Right. Well, let's just say I get pretty happy on vacation.
But I think that's the time when you really want to maybe consider an all-inclusive. If you really like to, you know, have a lot of beverages, that might be the best time for an all-inclusive.
Okay. Cool.
And then also, like, the all-inclusives are typically in that vicinity, right? They're in the high-rise area on Palm Beach.
Right.
So, you know, when we were talking about, my friend and I, we put together a trip. Actually, it was 5 of us that went to high school together. And then the one girl, her best friend, so there were 7 of us that went for a girls' trip. So I think sometimes an all-inclusive is a good opportunity for, you know, like for a group of people as well. Because then you don't have to worry about, like, reservations or if you need to get taxis or rent cars. You know, so that's sometimes it's a good opportunity for that as well. And then, you know, you can do a lot of activities together. You're always around, you know, like sometimes for a group that might be a good thing as well. And I think for first-timers, I think maybe all-inclusive on Palm Beach is really nice because, you know, they have all the tour sites, you know, like the tour companies are, you know, there's usually a tour company right in the lobby. So you can, you know, sign up for a tour. They take you right up in the lobby and you can go from there. So I think, like, if you're there the first time, it's kind of like gives you like a background or an ability to, you know, experience some things that you might not get to because you wouldn't know about necessarily if you were just, you know, staying at a house by yourself or something like that.
Right. No, I definitely agree on the first-timer thing. Anything that makes it easy for them to enjoy the island is probably a plus. So for that, an all-inclusive would be great, and also like touring the island with a group, that would be cool. It's just that once you get a little bit more experience with Aruba, that's whenever I say, you know what, get out there and just explore on your own.
Well, I think, you know, like the food is like fabulous. The restaurants, and every time I go, there's like a new talked about restaurant. I think the last time that I went, my friend, she ended up getting sick and wasn't able to go on the trip. I went myself, and my friends of mine were like, "Oh, I don't think I could do that." I'm like, "Well, I have friends there," and I'm the kind of person that will talk to anybody. I seriously will talk to anybody. I am a talker. Could you tell?
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Just, you know, we'll kind of like pick up a conversation and talk with anybody. And, you know, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it wasn't as fun as if she was there. Like I said, you know, we've known each other a long time. And, you know, I don't know if you've had any friends that you developed like your sense of humor, like through your like early teens and through like college or whatever. But when you develop your sense of humor, you know, yeah, we're that kind of friend.
No, I get it.
So it wasn't as fun as if she wasn't there. But I mean, like I said, I do have friends there, and I, you know, just talk to people, and you know, I really did a lot of relaxing.
Nice. That is a gift, being able to just talk to anyone, and also being able to relax, because a lot of people have a hard time winding down.
I figured this out. Like, I usually can get my email on Wi-Fi, like my work email.
Right.
And the last time that I went, I was there in June last year. And was there for actually 10 days. And I was like, okay, after the second day, I was like, I'm done. I'm not looking at another email, another work email while I'm here. I was like, done. And I did it. And that was the first time I think I worked for Verizon for 15 years. And that was the first time that I ever said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not looking at one single email while I'm here any longer, no more.
It's a game changer, right?
It was fabulous. It was fabulous.
So you said that you like to relax when you're on vacation. That's cool. I find that people usually fit into one of 3 categories. Either they love to relax, or they like to seek adventure, or they just like to party, and those are the people that you recommend all-inclusive for.
True. Yeah.
So you like to relax. What are some of your favorite things to do?
Well, honestly, go to the beach, get on a raft, and like float around, and then go to happy hour. Go to happy hour, and or if I'm at the all inclusive, like go up to the swim up bar, and that usually actually is finished off at like 7 at the Occidental, because then they clean the pool or whatever. But
right.
But then that's the time to go shower and get ready for dinner, and have reservations, or just kind of go, like if you're close by, just go ahead and walk in. And then I have toured. Now, when we went the first time, like we went on the tour, and I got to tell you, I mean, this was like the craziest. They have these super nice Jeeps, right? You see the super nice Jeeps when they take people on the island tour, like you're gone for like all day, like 6 or 7 hours or whatever. Well, when we went 14 years ago, they had Jeeps, but they were like stake bed Jeeps. Okay, you can just imagine. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. They had the wooden stake beds in the back of these. And then they asked you for a volunteer for people that drove a stick. And so when you raised your hand, which I did not drive a stick. But if you raised your hand, guess where you were? You were a driver.
Yeah, I heard about that before.
They weren't asking about your driving skills, or like even did you have a license. That was like, you drive a stick, and there was your driver.
You're in.
And exactly. So that was really an experience. And you had a crazy driver, which we did. So we were sitting on either side of the stake bed Jeep. And I remember our driver was on the little crazy side. He liked to go fast. And there's nothing wrong with the lead foot, because I got one, and I've had my surgery to remove the lead from my foot postponed indefinitely. But in Aruba at the time, especially, or even now, like when you're going to certain places, like if you're going to the caves or you're going to the certain places, there are a lot of rocks and like potholes, so to speak, not necessarily a real pothole like we have in Pittsburgh, but
right.
And so this person was driving quite fast, and my friend, and like you ever see like the screen or a door when they have the cartoon characters, and all you see is arms and legs and a head. She was coming at me, her arms and legs in the head, and I'm like a cartoon character, and I'm catching her.
Wow.
I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it really, I got to tell you, I mean, it really illustrated the beauty, and we did see the original natural bridge. So we got to see that before it had fallen down.
Before it collapsed, right?
Yes. And, like kind of one of those wonders of the world type of things that you see. And, so it was a fabulous tour, but I have to, and then I remember coming back and I'm like, damn, does my back hurt? I wonder why my back hurts so much. So I go to get in the shower. I had like 2 like huge, like watermelon-sized bruises on each side of my back on the back. They were like grapes. They looked like grapes. Because I'm like, what does my back hurt so much? They were grape color. But anyway, I digress. But it really illustrated the beauty of the island. It's just amazing. So I don't necessarily go and tour as much any longer, because
right, definitely.
Then if you've been to a couple things. Now, one thing that I would, I think, like to do is go to the lighthouse, go in the lighthouse. I'd like to do that, which I didn't do this last time. And then the thing that's found on the other island, the what is it, Palm Island?
Oh, the Palm Island?
Yeah, the Palm Island, where they have the underwater walk, the scuba walk.
Okay.
See, I'd like to try that. I don't scuba, but I think that I would enjoy that. So I would like to try that.
Yeah, that does look like a lot of fun. I think they call it snuba.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But yeah, I looked at it this last time and I was like, it was pretty expensive, because you have to pay to go to the island, and then you have to pay to go on that. So I think it was like about $200 for the day. But it might be something to consider.
I wonder if they ever run specials for it.
I don't know. I'll have to.
And like the the little Switzerland bags they hand out at the airport? You know how they have all those coupons and everything?
Oh,
I wonder if there's
cute.
one for that.
I don't know. I'll have to keep it in mind.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, no, a lot of people, like you mentioned, the beauty of the island, a lot of people just stick to the Palm Beach or Eagle Beach area. And anybody listening that does that, I really do encourage you to get out and actually see the island, because there is a lot of beauty to Aruba that you might not notice if you don't leave the hotel zone.
Yeah, I think you just have to experience it. Even if, they have, for people that maybe are limited walking or have kids, they have like a bus tour that you can go on. There's all different types of tours, but I think you have to explore it. Like if you've been there several times, you might say, okay, well, I'm kind of like, I don't feel like I want to do a lot of touring this time, but I think you just have to at least, hit all those places, because they're just so gorgeous. Like the pools and I just can't imagine not exploring it at least somewhat.
Right. Well, most of us go there year after year, so you have time to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
You mentioned before something about restaurants. I'm really curious about this because I'm not that experienced with the Oranjestad area. So what are some of your favorites in the downtown area?
Well, one that I really, really like is Yamanja. Really good. It's really, if you're like, it's 2 seconds from the Renaissance, basically. It's like right behind, where the I Love Aruba sign, like, right. In between the sign and the Renaissance, there's like a little, there's a street. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you go down that little street, it's on the right.
Okay. I think I know exactly where you mean. Yes, it's
so good. So good. It's like gourmet, like cook it, and it's beautiful on your plate. But it's good. Like sometimes you talk about gourmet food and you think to yourself, okay, I'm going to get this gourmet plate, right? And you get the plate and it looks like there's like 2 peas and a carrot and like a little teeny. No, it's nothing like that. Nothing.
Right. That's a good thing because we're from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they have some amazing food. And it's a variety. It's very interesting. They have some really great fun desserts. If you're sitting in certain areas, like if you're like at the bar, you can actually see the chefs in there cooking, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, I dig that.
And let's see, how about Driftwood?
Okay.
That's primarily a seafood place.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been there? I don't know if you've been there or not.
No, I've never been to Driftwood, no.
And then there's a place, and this is more like, I guess it's more of like a local place. It's called the Fisherman's, what is it called? The Fisherman's, I can't think of it. But it's more like of a local place, because I actually will ask people, like I said, I'll talk to anybody. But I'll ask like the valet or whoever else. I'm like, where do you go to eat? Where do you like to eat? So that's actually a really good, like, kind of local place for for seafood, if you're a seafood person.
Mm-hmm. See, I am, but she's not, so that's what makes it so tough.
Well, I don't do fish, but I like seafood. Okay. So I like lobster and shrimp and like scallops but I don't like any like squid or oysters, and I don't like fish. Okay. So I am very discerning. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Right.
My sister tells me I'm the pickiest person she's ever met in terms of food.
Oh yeah. But there's something for you in Aruba, so that's just another plus to the island. There's so many restaurants.
Yes, exactly. But and then I had never been to. It's like right on the water. Oh, Flying Fish Zone. I had never been to Flying Fish Zone because I thought, somebody had told me years ago, a friend of ours, and she said, "Oh yeah, it's like you go there and they basically like they're throwing the fish up on on the deck or whatever, and you pick out the one you want them to cook for you. And I was like, oh no, thank you, no. And then I heard differently, and went 2 times ago, the last in June, when we were there in June, and I mean, I was amazed. Like, it's amazing to me. Like, we were sitting in the water. Our feet were in the water. We're eating in the water. I mean, like, who would have thought that, saying eating at beachside meant like you were eating with your feet in the water.
Right.
I loved it. And I actually loved the food there too. They had like a shrimp and cheese casserole. Oh, it was just like crazy amazing. And the dessert was amazing. I just loved it.
Nice.
Loved it.
All good recommendations.
And I like El Gaucho. That was like, I don't know how, every time I've been there, have gone to El Gaucho. So I do like that. Steak girl. And the LG Smith Steakhouse that's in the Renaissance is also really very good. They have very good food there as well.
Great. Yeah, you just gave me a whole lot to think about because we do want to experience the downtown area a little bit more. So yeah, you gave me tons of things to think about.
And I didn't get to go, but this is a new one. It's supposed to be very good. And my friend that's a taxi driver who also drag races motorcycles, he said Fred's. And Fred's is actually in the downtown area. Now, if you wanted to go there, I think that's something like you have to, there's only like 14 people a night that can go. And I believe it starts you have to be there at 6 or 7. And, but I didn't have an opportunity to go. They were booked up by the time because I was going to go. From what I understand, it looked like it would be really fun. And you get a chance to meet other people as well, because like between courses, it's kind of designed to like for you to talk to the people that are there, the other people and things. So it looked really fun, but I didn't get a chance to go. But hopefully I will get an opportunity to go.
Yes, that's kind of like Two Fools and a Bull and Carte Blanche.
I haven't been. I've heard about them, but I have not been.
I think they're all the same concept. Limited tables, you're with the same crew for the whole night, and you have to book those places like 6 months in advance.
Was I reading something maybe like that one of the chefs from Two Fools and a Bull is Fred?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. Same concept. I think I just looked the other day on TripAdvisor, and I do believe that right now Fred is the #1 rated restaurant on Aruba.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, it's right there in downtown Oranjestad as well.
Lots of good stuff down there that many of us miss out on. So let me ask you, Regina, are you ready for the eye of the hurricane?
Oh, I guess so.
Okay. Now, as you know, Aruba lies below the hurricane belt. But on One Happy Podcast, we pick you up and we drop you right in the center of one, which is where you'll be asked a series of questions.
Okay.
So finish this sentence. You know you're in Aruba when?
It's 90 degrees and you can walk on the sand.
Which is very unusual.
It is. I mean, that is crazy. Like if you're in Florida and it's like 80 degrees, and you have to have your flip flops on or something. Yeah.
Yep. We get to the Jersey beaches up here. Yeah, when it gets that hot, you like dance across the sand to the ocean.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you're like running because your feet are they're burning. Yeah, I think that's like so amazing that you can do that. Walk on the sand. Yeah.
Give me a no-brainer great time in Aruba.
The private island, the Renaissance private island.
What is your favorite thing about the private island?
Just relaxing. Just to relax. And to go see the flamingos. I'm not, a huge flamingo fan, but I just think it's super cool. And you can get, like when you go to the zoo or they have those like pet petting zoos, they have a little thing where you can get like 25 cents worth of food, and you can take it over, and they eat them eat it right out of your hand.
Oh, that's cool. I missed that whenever I went over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess it's near the dock thing, and you put a quarter in, and then it has a little handful of food. So.
Oh, that's pretty cool. What's the best kept secret in Aruba?
I'm going to say the people. Kurt, you're from Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh has kind of like that small town, that friendly. It was actually people from Wisconsin that I was talking to when I was just there, and they said, this lady and her husband, they said about how her parents had, lived in Detroit and then lived here, and when she was first married, she came and visited Pittsburgh. She goes, my parents loved Pittsburgh. She goes, it's like Midwest plus. And I think, to me, Aruba has a lot of the feel of Pittsburghers, that friendly, like, talk to people. I just, they'll help you out, like, it doesn't matter if they, like, sometimes they'll say, well, they only speak Spanish, or they only, you know what I mean? Like, they'll say that, but they'll be still trying to help you if you, have a question or whatever. And I just think they're very educated people. They're very friendly, and they're fun. They're fun. And I think, to me, that's the best kept secret is the people.
Nice. Are there any special tools, apps, or resources you use to plan your Aruba trips?
No, typically I actually use a travel agent.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's different. Most people don't.
I know.
Tell me about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, it all started 14 years ago. At that time, travel agents were like the way to go. And so I always used the same travel agent. So when I, had booked the original, and so when we're going back 10 years, 10 years after the first visit, called the same person up, and she booked us again. And then, we've gotten another person because, she actually is out of the travel business now. You can imagine after being in the business for a long time, you want to maybe retire or travel yourself a lot more.
Right, definitely.
And so I've just kept, going with, and, have had really good, I've used Liberty Travel in Pittsburgh. And I think a lot of it is the agent as well, the person that you're working with. I do look at things online for pricing sometimes, but I think that they really do a nice job with the pricing because it seems comparative to me to what I've seen. Right. I think they have to now. I mean, they're competing with online and with people that do it themselves. So, so I think that they have to really be competitive. I think they offer, one of the things that is sometimes nice is they offer like little amenities, like if you're at the properties that they have really good relationships with, then you get certain amenities because you're with that, like maybe early check-in or something along the, small things, but, sometimes those things are just a little bit nice that puts that over the edge, that experience.
Right, that's pretty cool. Nice. Do you have anything special that you bring from home or something that you pick up as soon as you arrive to help you take your vacation to the next level?
No, I don't really. I know a lot of people, like this last time I did stop at duty free, but it wasn't for me. I got a bottle of something for my boyfriend, but, that's one thing that, I tend to bring a lot of things with me, but not necessarily for myself.
Right.
One of the things, and you had asked a question a long time ago about, what would you try to improve in Aruba, but, things are so expensive for the people that live in Aruba. Like, we don't necessarily think about that. For us, it's very comparable. If you buy something, it's going to be very comparable to what you're able to get at home. I'll give you an example. Right. My boyfriend has children, and they play baseball, and I to get a baseball glove. I order it on Dick's. It's $30. In Aruba, he goes to get a baseball glove for his son. It's like $95.
Well, I was expecting you to say like $50 or something, like 95, 3 times as much. That's insane.
And then here's even the most interesting thing is if I'll get stuff from Amazon and I'll order it, and and it gets shipped. For me, it gets shipped for free. So, but a lot of people in Aruba, like what they'll do is they have it's called e-post, and they get an e-post address in the United States, and then they have shipping companies. Now, not only, because even though once they get it there, they still have to pay the shipping charges, right, to the shipping company, and they have to pay customs, and they have to pay taxes.
Right.
So, all those things, and it's still cheaper to get things from the United States shipped there than it is to buy it in Aruba.
That is insane.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's always crazy. So I like to bring a lot of things so we can skip the customs, we can skip the shipping, all those kind of things. So I try to bring things with me. So if I want to send him a gift, he would have to pay customs and shipping.
Right, you might as well just fly down and deliver it yourself.
So, just I don't think a lot of people realize that and how expensive things are, and and I know that you work a lot with the organization, for the animals, and they ask about the Amazon purchasing. So hopefully they have someone to bring the things down.
Right.
That's really why
they ask. How they do it.
Why they ask for people to bring things down rather than just say, okay, well let's let it ship through Amazon. That's why.
Now I understand. I didn't know that until you just illustrated that to me.
Yeah.
So you've been going to Aruba for a while now, but what's left on your Aruba bucket list for you to try?
Well, I do want to go into the lighthouse. And that scuba, whatever that kind of thing.
Okay.
I would like to do that.
Right.
And then, just some of the other restaurants I think that I haven't been to. What would be your recommendation to the next restaurant I should try?
I am a big fan of Quinta del Carmen. So right now that's probably my top restaurant there.
Where is it at?
Over by Superfood, I guess would be the easiest way to say it. It's over behind Superfood, but it's it's an upscale place, kind of like a Yabenja. It's this old house, and you eat out back in this courtyard. There's also a courtyard on the side, but just the service that I've received there is just impeccable, and all the wait staff is just incredible. The food is incredible. This is a really beautiful venue.
That will be next on my list.
Yeah, I really dig it. It's probably my favorite right now at this moment.
Nice. Okay. Those are my my bucket list, my Aruba bucket list items.
That's cool. Nice. Okay, so here's a question I haven't ever asked anyone, because I just came up with it a second ago. So, okay, there's 3 chairs sitting on the beach, right? Over at Renaissance Island. Okay. One for you, one for your sweetie. Who's in the 3rd seat?
My friend Dina.
Dina?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, she's my lifelong friend, She's my BFF, and we just have, wherever we go, we have a fabulous time. So, yeah, it would be her.
Nice. That's very cool. To know someone your whole life, that's just a blessing.
It is. It really is. I mean, we're talking over 45 years. I'm old.
No, not at all. Not at all. I can tell from that laugh that you're not old.
Young at heart. Always young at heart.
That's right. That's right. Stay that way. What's your Aruba vacation superpower?
Oh, I'm a gold medal floater.
So explain to everyone what you mean by that.
Well, when you're down by Palm Beach, in the all-inclusive, they usually have like a roped off area And the roped off area is not for you that you couldn't float around in it, but it's actually for like the boats and things that go past.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're on a float out there and you're like half asleep and you're just kind of hanging on the rope, because you're out to the edge there, and then here comes a boat by and there's a big old wake comes over you, like you're still managing to stay on that float. So we joked around because Jerry, what I mentioned before, the taxi driver, he at one point like drove a boat, and we were talking about that. We're like, man, what's up with those? And he goes, that was half the fun of driving the boat, is knocking people off those floats.
I've always wondered if they did that on purpose.
I think, it's kind of one of the fun things that you do, right? So he said, yeah, that was half the fun because, like, they're not expecting it, and then all of a sudden, boom, here comes a big wake, and they, he said, yeah, that was half the fun of it. So I'm a gold medal floater. I've never had a boat knock me off my float.
So if any boat drivers are listening, that's a challenge.
I know. Yeah, go for it. Come on, bring it on, bring it on.
If given the chance, would you move to Aruba?
Yes. Right now, I think that it probably won't be until I retire, but that will hopefully, that's part of my future.
Nice. Well, good luck with that. Okay, now this is the final question of the Eye of the Hurricane. It's a long one, so stick with me for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, the people of Aruba have decided to lock you out of paradise. That's right, they're no longer allowing visitors to the island. However, since you've been such a great guest so many times, they've decided to allow you to visit for one more day, all expenses paid.
Regina Crusan,
how do you spend your last day on the island of Aruba?
Well, I would get up and I would have my favorite breakfast at a breakfast buffet. And my favorite breakfast is pig and fruit. So sausage, bacon, and all the fruit. Pineapple, watermelon. So that would be breakfast. And then I would go to probably, I would say Palm Beach, because, I like Palm Beach. Just walk in the sand, get my float around maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock, go back in and have like a nice hot dog or hamburger and, a salad or something, head back out until about 4:30 or so, then head in and go to that, like swim up beach or swim up pool, and take full advantage of happy hour for like 3 hours. Have some fun. My favorite drink there is the Sky Blue Martini, which is blue curacao, vodka, and lime juice. Yummy. So,
sounds delicious.
And it looks like the Caribbean blue.
Oh, nice.
So take full advantage of that. Then I would, at that point, because you're, like still in the water, because you're still in the pool. Then I would probably say go to Flying Fishbone, and after you showered up and got ready, go to like Flying Fishbone and have dinner with my feet in the water once again. And that to me would be my ideal day, like to be by the water all day long, to have happy hour and be happy, to have a great meal, to enjoy my favorite breakfast, and to, hopefully see some of my friends while I'm there.
Nice. Sounds like an ideal day.
It would be for sure.
Well, you survived the eye of the hurricane. How was it?
Oh my goodness. I think I need to get happy. I'm just kidding.
You need one of those Sky Blue Martinis.
Yeah, I think I'm already kind of happy. I'm good, but not from any. Just I'm happy on life. Talking to you, Kurt. Talking to you. I'm happy talking to you.
Oh, nice. Thank you. You're making me blush. And that's pretty difficult to do.
Well, I can't imagine why.
Okay, so this is the last question of the interview, okay?
Yeah.
Right now there's somebody listening who's never been to Aruba, and they're probably on the fence about whether or not they should go. Now, since time is precious, and also Aruba's not a cheap island, what would you say to that person to convince them that Aruba is the place they should go for their next vacation?
Well, I'm a traveler, and I've been to, and I'm a beach person. So I can honestly say that I've never been to a more beautiful place for beaches, like in general. And I think you have to look at both the arid side and the other side, because though you may not be on the beach itself, you get to see the water and the ocean where the rocks and things like that. I mean, it's amazing. I think, the ability to walk on the sand when it's 90 degrees, that's like crazy to me. Weather, like, I'm always hot, right? I'm always hot. But in Aruba, with the breeze going, it's not the same as like being in Florida or at other beaches. Like even in Mexico, I went to Mexico, not the same thing. You have that breeze going, so you're always, getting kind of cool. And I would say that just the beauty of the island, and it's just and the weather, the fact that you're not going to get much rain.
Awesome. Well, you convinced me.
Really? I'm sure that was really hard.
Hey, I'm a tough sell. I really do want to thank you for taking the time to take part in this interview. You were an amazing guest. Oh,
thanks. It was very enjoyable, real fun. See, I can talk to anybody, Kurt.
A lot of fun. Right. I'm learning. So I guess I'll let you get out of here, though.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, I guess. Yeah.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. So there you have it for another episode of One Happy Podcast, the officially unofficial podcast of the island of Aruba. I hope you enjoyed it. Regina was an absolute joy to speak with, and I want to thank her for taking the time to share her version of Aruba with us all. I don't know about you, but I learned a lot over the last hour. She brought so much information to the show that I took notes. And since you're more or less a friend that I just haven't met yet, I'll let you peek at my show notes. They're located at onehappypodcast.com/EP76. Onehappypodcast.com is the headquarters for everything podcast related. So head on over there to check it out. There you'll find the show notes for this and every other episode ever recorded, and a whole lot more. Now, since I'm gearing up for another trip to Aruba, you're going to want to make sure that you like the One Happy Podcast Facebook page, located at facebook.com/onehappypodcast, as well as my Instagram account, which can be found by searching for Aruba Kurt on Instagram. You can also check me out on Twitter at Aruba Kurt, and if you really want to, you can message me via any of those methods to get my usually boring Snapchat. Or you can send an email to kurt@onehappypodcast.com. That's Kurt with a C. So once again, thank you, Regina, for being so awesome. And thank you guys for being equally incredible. Regina, you want to go ahead and close things down?
Hit the music.